Is it true that India's GDP data is being fudged, particularly in the last 10 years?
You know, my late brother, who was a very distinguished neurologist and a Padma Shri awardee, he used to tell me that brain works like Velcro for negative news and like Teflon for positive news. And so some people really have recognized this kind of asymmetry and have, made it a business to stay in limelight, to continuously question the GDP data. Any good news is questioned either by appeal to the quality of the data or the government's intention to fudge them or something else. But it's not that easy to fudge the GDP growth data. What you are fudging is the GDP to do that. So if this year I fudged the GDP to raise the growth rate by 2%, I hike the GDP by 2%. Next year, this GDP becomes my base GDP, over which now I'm going to calculate the growth rate. So I have to fudge 4% to get the 2% increase, 2% extra growth in the next year. Third year, I have to fudge 6%. Very quickly, it will get out of hand. I'll get caught. That's not so easy. So that's just one way to explain it. And the GDP data collection is a very involved exercise. I mean, it's not like, you're collecting one number so you can easily fudge it. It's a mass of numbers that are being collected, and ultimately it's the aggregate of that. Now, very quickly, you mentioned about this tax revenue. There was a lot of this sentiment expressed by a lot of the experts, actually, I must say, that, because they turned out to be wrong in their forecasts by several miles. And so therefore, they go in and say that, the GVA, the gross value added, which is the calculation of output at factor prices, has grown by 6.45%, and that's about right, that's what we expected. But the 8.3 or what have you, that is not because, that's just tax revenue. Now, if you're an economist, that borders nonsense. Because there is output associated with tax revenue also.
Absolutely.
The government commands control of certain amount of output or certain amount of resources that is associated with that tax revenue. So that tax revenue is in no way anything less of an output than the rest of the GVA is.